Yes, my people, welcome back to the vlog. And no, I'm not dead. No, I'm not banged up in a Thai jail. None of that shit. But I am back in the shitty ass, depressing shithole of the United Kingdom. Whoever called it a kingdom needs a slap up the mouth for starters. But yeah, I'm back, man. I've been back about 6 months. And I've got to say, Thailand ruins your life. If you're out there for a certain period of time, doesn't matter, to be honest with you. Go out there for a fucking week, you ain't going to come back the same. I'm telling you, man, this country is so dull, depressing, low vibration. I just haven't had the fucking inspiration to even post anything, mate. I just haven't. People ask me all the fucking time, where you at, what you doing? Listen, man, fucking my life is so up and down. It's hard to put social media and YouTube and that and TikTok at the forefront. You know, I know I left TikTok for a while, man, and I should really give you an explanation on what the fuck happened there, yeah, because I just bury my head in the sand sometimes, and I just can't be asked to even fucking give an explanation for it, because it pissed me off so much. You know, TikTok owed me a shitload of money, man. It wasn't a shitload of money, but it was enough money, mate, yeah, to worry about. And I was just in a pill and ongoing backwards and forwards with them for this fucking money that they owed me, man. And I just thought that, and it killed it a little bit for me. I ain't gonna lie to you, it killed the whole posting thing, because I was earning good money out of it. And you know, to me, that ain't a good business investment, TikTok and social media in general, just knowing that they could just withhold your money like that, you know, and with no explanation. But as it happened, after appeal, I ended up getting the money like a month later. But it was too late, bruv. It was already dead for me, to be honest with you. But I do owe my people an explanation of what's been going on. People always asking me, what's going on with the ganja business out there? You started it. Listen, he is still there. The shop is still there in Wahin, Dutch Heaven. He's still my boy. I'm going out there, I'm going back to Thailand, hopefully in the next 2 months, to, you know, make another start of it. But as I say, man, it's not easy to live out in Thailand. It's not. You know, as soon as I got out to Thailand, my business fucked up. Come back, try and sort it out, walk away from it, leave it to me old man, start doing my own shit, and that's literally where I am now, just trying to build it all up again, build it all up, so I'm secure when I go back out there, man, because I don't want to have to keep coming back here. It's so fucking depressing, but I have to keep creating content, if anything, for my own sanity, mate. You know, I've got to be contributing. I've got to be creating content, man. That's just the person I am, man. As I'm in this depressive, like, slump that I can't get out of, and I'm sick of going through it all the fucking time. You know, this is a part of my life that you don't really see, and I don't really want you to see it, you know, but really it's the realness of it, man. Don't get it twisted thinking I'm living some extravagant, incredible life, mate, because I ain't. Smoke and mirrors, bruv. Don't believe all what you fucking see. You know what happened to me in my life, mate. I don't like to fucking get the violins out, but you know, it did affect me in some fucked up ways. I'm still trying to rectify it now in my life, man, in my own head, and it's hard, man, without therapy and things like that. It's why I put these stories out, man. It's like my therapy, to get it off my chest, to get it out of my head. This is why I'm not interested in going on podcasts and talking about it any further. Nah. I'm not interested in coming up off the back of it. But, you know, if I can recoup some fucking money from TikTok by telling the stories, 100%. But as I say, I'm putting my heart, my soul, my life on the fucking internet for everybody's fucking ridicule and not getting paid off it. I'm not trying to make a name off it and get big like that. I've got talents in other fields, mate. I'm a movie producer, writer. I do a lot of different things in my life, man. So today, it brings me to Basildon, Chelmsford, Essex. And while I'm in the area, I think it would be rude not to visit the murder sites of Tate, Craig Ralph and Tony Tucker in Rettendon. And while I'm at it, I am gonna take you on a little journey to their stomping grounds, Rakka's nightclub. We're gonna go to Tony Tucker's house, Pat Tate's house, and I'm gonna end it by visiting the boys at their grave. So, as I say, I've got to apologise for the way I am with my content, man. But, you know, in life, my life has to come first in terms of money, mate. You know, it doesn't make sense to me doing YouTube and TikTok when there's no money coming in from it. It doesn't. And if you're at that point in your life, man, and you're, yeah, all right, okay, if you've got other things coming in, you're dealing on the side, you're doing for, brother, I'm straight as an arrow. I do not break the law in any motherfucking way. So I've literally got to do it the hard way. I haven't got little bits of money coming in on the side from a fucking box, you know, half a box, and I don't do none of that. So, you know, I've got to graft, man, and prioritise, you know. So as I say, that's just life, mate. You've got to prioritise on where the money is coming in, and you've got to double down on it. Yeah, okay, you might want to do TikTok your full fucking time income. You might want to do YouTube your full time. But bruv, listen, mate, I know people that have got YouTube channels, been doing it for years, and they're still struggling for money, mate. You know, with 80,000 plus subscribers. This game of content creating is the hardest game I've ever been in. And I've had my hand in a lot of fucking different games. Majority of things I've put my hands to, from the building game, landscaping, fucking editing, producing, even sweeping the motherfucking streets and emptying bins and shit. I have done it all, mate. Paid my fucking dues. And I'm telling you, content creation, at least with those jobs, you knew at the end of the day, even though you were trading your time for money, you knew that at the end of the day you were getting a paycheck. At the end of the week you were getting a paycheck. At the end of the month you were getting a paycheck. It's never guaranteed in content creation. So don't forget that. Prioritise, especially if you've got, you know, a family, you know, that you've got to provide for. You've got to get your priorities right, mate. So anyway, here we are, Chelmsford, Rettendon. Let's go. On this quiet country road, 3 men were slaughtered in cold blood. It was a crime so infamous, it became the story behind the rise of the foot soldier and inspired many movies. I'm sure everybody's seen them. So on December the 6th, 1995, it was a freezing night, kind where the cold bites deep, where silence feels heavier. And down this desolate, cold, dark lane, led a blue Range Rover. Waits. His headlights off. And inside, 3 men. Tony Tucker, Pat Tate, and Craig Rolfe. And these were 3 of the most feared men in the Essex underworld at the time. And they believed that they were here for a deal. Another payday. Another power move. But step by step as I walk through this path, retracing their final moments, something does become pretty clear. This wasn't just a business meeting, it was an ambush. They say that this was one of the routes that Jack Wones took. And this was the lane that they came down, and this all used to be the original lane coming to here. Obviously it's been extended out now, but they would have drove down this lane. And allegedly the attacker was in the car with them. Allegedly Mickey Steele, who's just actually got out recently in the last week or two. But they never did admit to the murders, and there was 6 shots in total. Each one was calculated. Tucker, the king of the Essex club scene, he dies with his mouth wide open, blood pouring onto his designer jacket. Rolfe, the loyal driver, his hands was still gripping the wheel. His fate sealed before he even saw it coming. And Tate, the enforcer, the man who thought he was untouchable, he takes the last shot, the most brutal. The same man who ruled the underworld with violence and intimidation now lies lifeless in his back seat. It's crazy how things turn around. But that's the tree. And the original gate was here. You know, the ground beneath my feet is the same frozen earth that soaked up their blood nearly 3 decades ago. Crazy. But some say that this here was the original gate, because the lane was there, and obviously there's buildings now behind there. There's a property over there, so it would make sense, this just being a field, to take that gate, what was there, and put it here to section off this field, because it's just a gate on a field, you know. And if you look at the pictures match up exactly, same colour, exactly the same gate. It would make sense to move that gate, or had no damage, and put it there. But that's just another theory. But by the morning, their bodies were found, and it was a gruesome scene. It was more than just like a film. It was like a brutal execution. You know, the whole world got to see. Even now the truth remains tangled in secrecy. We may never know who done it, but Wones walked free in 2021, I think it was, still proclaiming his innocence. And now nearly 30 years after that, Mickey Steele has just been released. But was it really them? Or were they just convenient scapegoats in a much bigger game? You know, underworld figures always said, you know, there was a line of people that wanted them done in.
Injecting people up and throwing them in ditches to die and things like that, which they did, you know, so they were the worst of the worst. So, you know, you couldn't afford to take chances with them. They had to go.
This was the lane after allegedly Mickey Steele and Jack Womes executed Tony, Pat and Craig. This is the lane they ran back up, where Darren Nichols, I think that's his first name, Darren Nichols, he was allegedly, in his testimonial in a way, was parked in this lay-by here where I'm parked on the right. And as I say, there's many paranoid theories. The movies will tell us all different scenarios, but the fact of the matter is, we're never going to know. Behind those doors lived a monster. A man so violent, so ruthless, that even the underworld feared him. This is the home of Pat Tate. Before he was gunned down in a Range Rover, before his name became a legend in Rise of the Foot Soldier, Tate ruled these streets with his fists, his rage, his hunger for power. And inside this house, deals were made, beatings were handed out, enemies were named, and anyone who crossed him, they paid with their blood. Tate wasn't just a thug, he was a storm, a force of nature, unpredictable, uncontrollable. He made his money through drugs, intimidation, violence, and he spent it just as fast as it came. Expensive cars, Rolexes, designer clothes, it was all a part of the image. But power like that just doesn't last. You know, it breeds enemies, makes you reckless, and recklessness gets you killed. And that's exactly what happened. And by the time he met his end in that Range Rover, Tate had already made too many enemies. You know, he thought he was untouchable. He thought his size, his reputation, and his sheer brutality would have kept him safe. But in this world we live in, there's no such thing as untouchable. Now this house stands as just bricks and mortar, a normal home on the street. But if these walls could talk, they would tell a story of fear, violence, and a man who lived like a king and died like a pawn in a much bigger game. This was the home of Tony Tucker. Tony Tucker had it all. Money, power, fear. And yet in one night he lost everything in cold blood. And this house, Vermont Lodge, was more than just a home. It was a symbol of dominance. I mean, look at it. Fortress built on drugs, violence, fear. From here, Tucker ran the doors of Essex, biggest nightclubs, controlling who got in, who got thrown out, and more importantly, who sold what inside it. Cocaine, ecstasy, money. If it moved through the clubs, it went through him first. Period. But power breeds arrogance, and arrogance breeds enemies, unfortunately. And Tucker thought he was untouchable. He had connections, bodyguards, and a reputation that made most men tremble. But on that night of December the 6th, 1995, none of that mattered. The night he climbed into that Range Rover with Pat Tate and Craig Ralph, expecting another payday, but instead he was walking into a trap. 6 defining shotgun blasts tore through the car, ending their reign in seconds. The once feared kingpin of Essex was left slumped in his seat. But in the underworld, power is never permanent. One day you're on top, the next you're just another name on the news. R.I.P. Tony Tucker. This was a crime empire. Drugs, power, blood, and the scandal that brought it all crashing down. By day, this was just another building. But when night fell, it became became the pulse of Essex criminal underworld. And inside, the Essex Boys ran everything. The doors, the drugs, the money, cocaine moved like currency in here. And every night their empire tightened its grip. But power makes you reckless. And recklessness will get you killed. The fall began with a single pill. 18-year-old Leah Betts, RIP. One night with her friends they took ecstasy, and unfortunately she slipped into a coma. And she never woke up, bless her. Her face was everywhere, you know, she was the face of Britain's drug crisis. The headlines screamed for justice, and all eyes turned to one place. This place here, Rakka's nightclub. Mate, if these walls could speak, they would have some stories, wouldn't they? But this used to be the main door, and it would have had Raquel's along there, and this would have been queued with people back in the day. And inside is exactly the same as it used to be. It's crazy that it's still sat there untouched still to this day. Mad. But yeah, there you go. The original Raquel's nightclub, Basildon. So we end the vlog here, Pitsea Cemetery. And was it all worth it? The crime, the violence, intimidation. Was it all worth it to die at such young ages with their whole life in front of them? But as I spent the day in the same places they lived, built their empire, I come to the conclusion of one thing: none of it is worth it. And as I walk around this cemetery today, on this cold English day, I can't help but think, no matter what is this life about if it is not about stamping your legacy so you are remembered in decades to come?